So if you've got a newsletter out there, or even you'll notice on social, anytime you get real with people and you show something familial or an experience or a story that relates to humans, right? Where it pulls heartstrings, you'll get a really good response as long as it's authentic. This episode is brought to you by SocialGenius. That's where Jeff and I get to actually teach you what to do on social and how to grow it. Jeff, why should people join?
You know, if you are the type of professional that wants to do it yourself, and maybe your budget's a little bit lighter and you can't afford to hire somebody to do all the editing, do the fancy stuff for you, we're going to teach you how to do all this stuff. And the truth is, most of these social platforms are now favoring authenticity. So it's shooting these green screens and doing remixes and understanding what's trending. Those are the things that matter the most to your social strategy. And so if you like to be inside of a tight culture of people that are like-minded and want to do it themselves, then SocialGenius is perfect for you.
We'll see you there. You'll never find it for less than this anywhere else. It's very inexpensive. We'll see you on the other side.
Tristan, at a time when we're talking about politics a lot, which we'll probably bring it up a little bit today because there is some relevance to social, but we're going to start with a very, what I would consider positive thing. And it derived from your email newsletter, which came over the weekend, which was a catchy headline, clickbaity headline that probably made people want to read it. I read it. I don't read all of your emails, but I read some of them. And I read it and it was powerful. I responded to you and you said, this one's getting a lot of engagement. And so I think it's really good to talk about this. A, if you have a newsletter, but B, this is so applicable to social strategy as well. So why don't you explain it and then let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I've been running this newsletter since 2019 and I always test out to see what works better for our audience, and the audience is mixed. I've got business owners, real estate people, real estate world, some consumers in there. So I always try to mix up the message. A lot of the times it is real estate or business related, but every like 6 or 7 emails, I throw in a story. And this was one of them. I threw in a story about a husband losing a wife, and then it gets pretty emotional. I teared up when I first read it. I was like, oh, damn, this is powerful. And I thought, let's throw this in there because at the core of everything we're human first, right? And I think sometimes we forget that when we're trying to connect with our audience, the easiest way to connect with them is hit them with the human first. So if you've got a newsletter out there, or even you'll notice on social, anytime you get real with people and you show something familial or an experience or a story that relates to humans, right? Where it pulls heartstrings, you'll get a really good response as long as it's authentic. And this one was a story. It's not my story. It's the story I had heard earlier. And the response was pretty big. I've got a newsletter list of, I think we've got about 120,000 people in our newsletter. And we had a 40% open ratio, a little bit over 40% on this. Usually it's like 35, 36. That's a shit ton of people. So I was responding to emails all day, like just quick emails, like you responded, hey, this was good, or where'd you get this, or what, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Nothing negative, which is great because you and I also get the negative, right?
Yeah. Do you get a lot of negative with email? I feel like, you know, it's, I don't know what the word is, but
I got one this morning, man. I'm doing the virtual event today for a Brilliant Tribe. And somebody emails me back and says, hey, I would have loved to attend, but there's just no person of color in your virtual event. And I'm like, dude, just because it's black and white, you can't tell I'm Mexican. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's somebody who probably knows you too. That displays some serious ignorance and a very, someone looking very much on the surface, almost like they're trying to pick a fight.
Yeah, and I'm not even responding to that one. But with the emails in general, when you're looking at creating and engaging your audience when it comes to a newsletter, You got to mix it up. And to me, it's almost like social media. You've got to mix it up. You do this very well because you bring in your daughter all the time. Your daughters are your family. Mm-hmm. And that's a different connection. Like, I love seeing that, right? And you did that with the Tesla. That was kind of cool too, right? That's personal. Mm-hmm. That one did very well. By the way,
it's actually funny. It didn't perform well from a viewership standpoint comparatively, but really well from a engagement standpoint. Everybody was commenting. I actually thought I would get a lot of haters on it, and I didn't. It was
I hated you on it.
Well, but that's just you. I mean, that's what you and I do to each other. That's just more for our own humor, and because everybody knows us, I think we make other people laugh. I usually get a lot of people laughing at my comments to your stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I also did it, and I brought that up to you in the email and the response, because what I want to do for our audience on this is tie this back. Now, if you have an email newsletter, like, just go steal what he did. Like, it's that simple. Like, go steal the story and post it. It's an interesting take, and you got me thinking as you were describing it, because my email newsletter is very specific. I share my top 3 social posts from the previous week. It's kind of a reason. The reason I do my email newsletter is because I know things get diluted, so it's like just another medium to say, hey, did you see this? This is valuable. Here, check it out. And you got me thinking, like, I don't really mix it up too often. Every once in a while I throw in a little story or something, and I try to be personal, but yeah, maybe I need to just like curveball people every once in a while.
Yeah, you do. You 100% do, because ever since I started throwing in the stories, it upticks every time. You should watch the newsletter. It's like, it gets shared, people reopen it, and then it comes back to the normal ones.
Yeah.
So I try every 5 or 6, and dude, like, stories about, it's not even real stories. It's lessons like this one. I don't know if this is a real story or not, but just lessons. And people are like, oh, I can relate to that. Oh, I can relate to that. This is a good story. I'm going to share this story.
Yeah.
And I think it just helps all of us because we think through stories, right?
Yeah. Everything you're describing too is basically parallel to social.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything you're describing. If I didn't know you were talking about email newsletter, I would think you were talking about social. And I think that's the point. And so even with what you, here's a challenge for audience, for the 2 or 3 people that are listening. I want to see one of you. If you do this is a challenge. I'm not going to do it. It doesn't apply to my audience, but I challenge you. Take Tristan's email newsletter. If you didn't read it, shame on you. You should now go read it. Or if you're not on the newsletter, double shame on you. And go get the email. And then I want you to do a social post and tell your audience, like, here, let's come up with a hook for this. I want you to read the email as a social post. And so I think the hook is something to the effect of, this one will tug on your heartstrings. So I subscribed to this newsletter for one of my mentors, or a jackass, however you want to describe Tristan. And this email came across this past weekend, and it literally drove me to tears. And it's such a powerful message that I wanted to share it with you. And then read it. Story time. That's it. So good hook, little intro, understanding what it is, read the story, and then at the end, maybe give not a call to action. You don't have to sell anything. Maybe just say something to ask a question, like, how did this make you feel? What do you think about this? And then leave it at that. I challenge somebody. Do that. I want to see what happens. And if nobody does it, well, then I know that Tristan, either A, they don't like my advice, or B, they're not listening. One of the two.
Well, Brian's listening. We know Brian. And Brian has a newsletter.
Right. But Brian, yeah, use it in your newsletter, but I'm challenging you to do it as a social post. And I challenge you, because it's actually, every time I ever do social posts and I lead them in with, and I say something in the very, the first sentence about this being a story, I feel like I get an uptick in viewership. Like, there's just something about the word story. I've been saying this for a while now. You just say that at the beginning and then give them the story. Don't use it as a teaser. Actually give them the story. actually give a story and use that in your hook, for me, it tends to work. I don't know why it is.
No, I like that, man. I like that. All right. Subject line: grab a tissue. This one will pull your heartstrings today. Now let's shift over.
Well, actually, let me share one more thing about that too. I do want to share more thing, and I want to remind everybody, because I was already thinking this before I got your email. It just kind of solidified it. I did a post over the weekend talking about moving my boat hoist. This is not super exciting stuff, but very personal. It performed really well, got a lot of engagement, and it just validates people really want a backstage pass on your life. Now, Tristan, I haven't told you this one, but we sell our condo a week from today, today that we're recording this, and then we move into a new place at the lake. And I've already done like a highlight video of the condo to help sell it, right? But I'm going to do a video that is I want to inspire people. I want to inspire people for two reasons. One, I want to inspire people to say, like, it'll resonate with people. I'm going to walk through my condo, just showing each room. And then in each room, I'm going to do like a quick 2 or 3 stories about what memories that room invokes. Each room. And go on. Yeah.
Dude, have Winter do it. Winter, what memories do you have of this room?
Well, true. I wish I had all my kids here, because honestly, the condo has a deeper history with the older kids, because they've been there from day one. Winter's only had 5 years. We've owned it for 13.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's so true.
I know. And so those are really the stories I want to tell. I really want to tell the stories, like, this room reminds me of the summer my daughter spent at the lake working as a dock girl. Like, that's what reminds me. And so it's like, I want to talk through that stuff, because I want it to not only be super authentic, but I want to inspire people to say, God, I want to create my own memories. We need a like that's really the driver behind it. But I really also want to see how it performs, because I just think that's super, like, I think people will really relate to it either way and be like, oh my God, like, and get them thinking about their places. And that's kind of the idea is, obviously, I want to test, but I say that only because it hopefully inspires a lot of you to create other ideas. And I don't know how many agents do this, Tristan, and you've been selling real estate a long time, but like, asking a seller when you're going to create content for them, hey, before I do this, I'd like to sit down and just talk to you about the memories you've created here. And if you're cool with it, I'd like to share some of that in the video that I create. And I just think that stuff would be so powerful.
Not many, but that is one thing that we like to do. And dude, you doing that would be awesome. Yeah. I would love to see that. Is this going to be more of a long form video?
No. I want to try to do it, long relative to a short. So probably I'm thinking 2 to 3 minutes, but not long enough to be a YouTube video. So I think I'm just going to do it as a longer short.
It goes along with that video you just did where you moved your, I don't know what it's called.
The boat lift or boat hoist. Yeah.
Yeah. Boat hoist.
Yeah.
When you moved that had, dude, I watched the whole thing. That had a really good feeling to it. Like, oh, there's some emotion on. I don't know if you planned on, but I felt emotional. I don't even live over there, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is a big change for Jeff.
It is. You know what somebody mentioned too, because they commented. Somebody messaged me and said they could feel they actually said that. They could feel the emotion, and they said, I also noticed how you describe your boat as she. And it tells me how much the boat means to you, because you refer to it as like a human description, and she has only known this boat dock, and she is moving to this new like because I take really good care of my boat, and it was just interesting that somebody picked up on that, and yeah,
I was gonna say in the comments, I was gonna say that Ozark sucks, but I thought it was inappropriate at that time.
Oh, dude, speaking of, I got a really good one that I recorded over the weekend. I'll tag you on it when I do it, but it's all I can tell you is this. It's the old video where it's like a cliffhanger and you're waiting for something to happen, and then that comes up. You'll laugh when you see it. You'll laugh when you see it.
Okay, send it to me.
I will.
Just in case I miss it. All right, we got 5 minutes. Let's talk about politics and social media. I mean, I think it's become a staple now, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think we bring up politics on every session now.
For good reason. For good reason. It's trending, and it's going to continue to trend.
Yeah. So, what did you discover by Googling something? Because I discovered it too.
Yeah, well, so Kaylee, who works for us, is my daughter. It always gives us kind of some trending thoughts and ideas, and she said, I'd like to see you guys talk about how there's rumors that politicians are paying influencers to back them, basically. And so I wanted to look this up without, leaning either side, because the rumor is that it's one side doing this. I wouldn't surprise me if both sides were doing it. But so I just typed in, are politicians paying influencers for support? Just something very generic. And you and I both did this.
I didn't think about throwing it onto. So you did it on Google. Tell me your results on Google. I'm going to try something else.
The first headline is Democratic organizations paying influencers to help win over young voters. The second one is a look at how political campaigns use social media influencers. That's a couple of them. Then there's a YouTube video. Kamala Harris is paying OF creators. So it's interesting. It must be that's the rumor mill is the Democrats. And I don't necessarily look at this as a bad thing, Tristan, to be honest with you. I think it's smart. I don't blame either one of them, to be honest with you. They should.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the idea of politicians aligning themselves with like movie stars or just someone of influence.
Taylor Swift
or social. Yeah, all that. But what did you type in on Google? Are politicians paying influencers?
Yeah, are politicians paying influencers for support?
For support. Now I'm going to AI. I'm going to Perplexity, and I typed in, are politicians paying influencers for support? And let's see what it says. Use of influencers in political campaigns. It brings up President Biden first. It brings up the Democratic Party. And then it brings up some ethical considerations for authenticity. Interesting.
I mean, I don't know about you, but ethics are out the damn window anymore.
I mean, dude, it's not, you've seen those. You've seen on social where it shows the old debates where Nixon and Kennedy were going back and forth, super like amazingly polite and kind. And then you fast forward to us. It's like, it's a disaster. But you're right. It's
even the whole debate thing, which, again, I'm very middle. I think people think otherwise, but it was. If you're going to allow CNN to, and we all know other news organizations, they're very one-sided, right? If you're going to allow CNN to be the host of the first one, then you need to allow the opposite to be the host of the second one, or whatever happened to the live audience, the town square style debate setup. Like, that's what we really need. And I'll be honest, and we talked about this a lot over the weekend for some reason, because I just, this is just my opinion, I don't like either one of these candidates, to be completely honest. I think I'm of the belief, and maybe this is old-fashioned, I believe that my president should be very eloquent. And they should be able to talk in any setting and spout off what they believe in and what they're going to do and what they're going to support. And I don't feel like I get that even in the slightest ounce from either one of these candidates. And it's disappointing because I think they're both buffoons in their own right. And I also think it's a testament to where politics has gone. Our president is a puppet. And I think I said this in the last episode. They're a puppet, a pawn for everyone else in their parties, to basically just be like, here, you stand here, and then we're going to make all the decisions. And so to me, that's just my opinion for what it's worth. I also hate all of the divide that it's created, but it makes me really want that Indian guy as an example of what a president should be. Like, that dude, put him on any pulpit, anywhere, anytime, and he will debate, and he will debate eloquently and politely. And that's what I want. And I want to see somebody from both sides challenge it out. I want to watch every debate, and then I want to make my decision. That's what we have lost, and it's so disappointing.
Dude, you said it right. I think we just don't have good candidates. They don't represent. I don't think any of them represent who we want to be as Americans.
Yeah,
and which sucks.
Trump's too popular, and no Republican can beat him. And Kamala is that? Am I saying it right? I can't even.
Kamala? Yeah.
Kamala. Okay. Is a product of just being the VP. That's it. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. It's like, I don't know if she really is even that great. She just got thrust into this by default. And that's not the president I want either. I don't want a by default president. Come on, man. Like, give me some candidates to choose from.
I agree, man. I agree. All right. With that, I think, well, what do you think really quick, and then we'll go?
I think that I was also just thinking this. Should you create content like what I just rattled off?
Yeah, I think most people agree with us, though. I think most people know that our candidates both suck badly.
But the neutrals are quiet.
Well, the neutrals are quiet because of the whole system. Neutrals are being pushed down because both parties dominate really who they choose, right? And they have to go up the ranks a certain way. Yeah. But dude, and then this is why you've seen what happened to Elon. It's like he slowly started on one side and then he's shifting over to the other side because everything is political. It's so nuts, right?
Yeah. So you're saying Tesla owners are now red instead of blue?
I don't even know.
You know what? I'll end on that too. I'll end on that. So we paddled over. You probably didn't see this, but we took the boat over. We took the jet ski over because we moving our stuff. And so Cash has a fishing kayak, and I have a paddleboard. And so we were talking, and I'm like, well, we should just bring the boat over, pick them up, and bring them back over because it's like 3.5 miles by water. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just paddle and kayak over? Like, let's just go out for an excursion. This would be fun. Anyways, we did that yesterday, and it took like an hour and 20 minutes. And I went by a house because, you're usually going by pretty fast on a boat. You're not really paying close attention, but going by slowly, there was it looked like a Trump flag, but it wasn't because there's a lot of Trump flags at the lake. It was vote blue. And I was like, whoa, they do exist. And my video on it. And I was like,
got it in the wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of funny. Anyways.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everybody.